Hey everyone, it's Justin. Thank you for watching and welcome to my house. That's Justin's house. In this video, we're still talking about the Jira Spoke, and now we're going to complete part 2 of syncing our projects to Jira projects by using the update action. So if you haven't watched it, check out the previous video. I'll include a link to it up above. But in that video, we were able to create a project in Jira, which you can see here, leave of absence, no work authorization. We use the project number as the key. We set the project lead to myself. And now we need to basically do the same thing, but as a update instead of a create. And what we're going to do is complete this section of our flow. So in this section of our flow, we're checking to see, does the project in Jira already exist after a project in ServiceNow has been updated? And if it does, we want to update the project in Jira. So maybe the name of the project changed, maybe the project manager changed. We're just going to do the name to keep it simple, but you can add other fields in order to do this update process. And we're going to steal from ServiceNow. Let me show you why we need to steal. If I go to add an action to this particular flow and we look at the Jira Spoke, we won't see anything for update project. We've just got create project and a couple of others. I'll show you here in a second when it loads. All right, just loaded up there. I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes these things take a hot minute to actually load. I know there's supposed to be performance improvements in Vancouver. I'm still seeing some slowness in some of these, so I wouldn't rely too heavily. There are some performance improvements, but not around everything. But here's the project management piece where you can see I've got create project, look up projects, look up project stream, and look up users assignable. I don't have an update project, so we're going to steal from this create project because it has everything we need when we created our project. So let's take a look at that create project action that we're going to copy. Here it is. This is what it looks like. We've got inputs, a connection info step, some pre-processing script, an actual REST call, and some error handling. I'm going to keep it simple in this video. We're basically going to copy the REST step and have some inputs, and that's it. And we'll probably use these same inputs. Now what's cool in Flow Designer with an action, you can take something like this and just say, I want to copy the action. I want to take everything with it, and then I'll remove the stuff that I need to do. Now you want to make sure you do this in the right project scope. Or the right application scope, sorry. I'm in my application called Justin's House. You could do this in the Jira Spoke application, or you could do it in another scoped application. I suggest you do it in something separate from the Spoke. That way when there's changes to the Spoke, there's no conflicts or anything. So I'm doing this in Justin's House just for that reason. We'll call this update project instead of create project, and there below you can see my application scope where I could change this if I wanted, but I'm going to leave this to Justin's House. We'll hit copy, and that will open a new tab with my action, and then we're going to modify that to update the project. Now I'm going to skip some of the steps there for pre-processing where it's like basically assembling a payload. Looks like max, you can't see this error message. I got a max length exceeded in 2 pre-processing for field server type. So it looks like in step 2, server type, something went wrong there in trying to copy the action. But that's okay. We're not going to let that stop us. You can see there's some scripting and stuff going on. I don't want to do anything nearly that complicated. And since we can't copy it, we're going to have to create it from scratch, which is fine. So I'm just going to come up here. I'm going to go to new action and update project. And we'll keep it in the same project scope that I told you before. And it's already been created. Okay. Well, if it was created, why didn't it open? All right, so let's delete that and let's close that window, and we'll go here to actions. It must have existed, but maybe it just didn't create everything. We'll find out here in a second when the actions load. So I searched on create project. We'll just search for update project, and yep, it does exist. It's in my application. I hope it has some stuff in it. And it does. It has everything I need. So this is good. So we want all this stuff because this is the stuff that could change. Well, the key probably won't change, but the project lead, the description, stuff like that might change. I forgot about the description. We can get the connection info. This is going to pull in the connection and credential alias, which will pull in the connection and credential to actually connect to our Jira instance, so it's okay to keep that step. We're not going to need this pre-processing step, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. We're going to assemble our payload within the REST step, and I'm going to get rid of this handle errors. Error handling is something that you definitely want to do, but we're not going to use ServiceNow's scoped Jira error handler. I don't want to get into all that in this video, so we're just going to delete that step and keep this simple. So we got our get connection info and we've got our create project. REST step, I'm going to rename this to update project. So we'll just make step number 2, update project. we're still going to connect to my base URL, my instance, all that's good. I'll have to blur it out, but that's okay. And we have the resource path right there. This is not going to be a post. It's going to be a put, right? So the post would be its new project. Put is going to be an update to that. So we're going to do a put, and everything else is going to stay the same there. And we're going to come down here. Where's my payload? I was expecting that to actually change. And let's see, we've got request context. Maybe let's go back to this one here. Maybe that's what didn't come over. Let me get out of this real quick, and I'm going to go back in and make sure I didn't do anything to change that. I'm going to make sure that section's empty, because the request body should have had the payload from, oh, it may have deleted when I deleted those steps. You know what? That's okay. We learn as we go, or that's how Justin does. I learn as I go. Well, let's go ahead and look at that rest step again before I delete anything. Yeah, okay, so it had the step for the payload that was coming from this pre-processing script, and I bet you when I deleted this, I'm going to go ahead and delete it because I don't need it. It's going to then to delete that from the thing. That's what confused me. It's already gone. So okay, that's fine. We'll just delete this again. You didn't lose that many seconds of your life. Let's go back to this create project. Everything looks good there, except we do need to change this to a put, and we need to change the request body text. Now you may be wondering, how do I know what body text they were doing this fancy script? What did I do? Well, we ran that flow earlier where we created that project. And when you run a flow, you can go look at the execution history for that particular flow that we ran. Even though we're testing, it still has an execution history that's going to pull up here in a second. All right, that's another great example of how there's still performance issues. That took a couple of minutes to actually load. This was the last one I did where I recorded my video, so I'm going to go ahead and open that one. We can see the history of when that ran. And what I'm interested in is this create project step, right? So we have the create project step, we can see where it ran, and we can scroll down and see the different steps. And we were just looking at the steps. There's that get connection info, there's the integration metadata step connection or the pre-processing script, and then we have the actual REST call. The actual REST call has that body text right there. It's no longer a data pill, it's actually what we need. So that's what we're going to try to put together in our new action for our update. We're just going to copy all that, and I'm going to put that in my new action. So let's go over here to the update project action, scroll down here to text, and I'm going to paste that in. So the key is actually going to come from the input. So remember, our inputs here are the key, the name, the project lead account ID, the project lead description. So we're going to do all that under the, oh, and I need to rename this. I renamed it before I started over. So update project, there we go. And then we'll scroll down here. And so our key is going to be that project number. So let's just delete that one that's hard-coded in there, and we'll add the inputs and the key. So there it is. The description is going to come from there as well. So let's just close that out and type in the inputs and description. And the name, same thing. This is kind of getting dull and boring, but this is how it works. We'll just put in there, and the description. The project type key we'll just leave as software, and the lead account ID, we're going to change this right here to the inputs and project lead account ID. And that right there, everybody tells me I do not need to fill in this project lead. I wasn't sure that I did before because it was just a display name is what I put in there, but we're just going to put in the text for that. So now I've got my fields in there, so if I do an update, it's going to call this, it's going to ask me for the same information that we got asked on the create project, but we're going to just do an update instead. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and in order to use an action after you've created it, you have to publish it. I want to test it first. It would let me know before I go through all the effort of adding this to my flow. So let's go ahead and test it. My project key is over here, so we'll just scroll this way so we have both on the screen. Oh, my Mac is hiding it. Okay, you're just gonna have to trust me. The project key is PRJ00100018, and we'll just go back over here and we'll change the name of it. So the previous name was leave of absence, no work authorization. I'm gonna change this to, I can't copy paste it, gosh darn it. I'm clicking on my other screen here, bear with me. There we go, copy and paste. There's a leave of absence, no work authorization. And let's just change this to modified. So we see that come through. Project count, lead ID. We're actually going to get that from, oh man, it's going to be in that flow history behind me. So we're going to have to cancel out of here and go back into there and grab that account ID. It's right there. There we go. So let's go back to our action here. We'll test again, and of course it didn't keep anything, but that's okay. Project key is PRJ 00100018, and the name, just focus over there. Would I put this in the wrong field? Kind of put that up there. So I think this can be anything. We'll just put in here test, see what happens. And we'll put in here modified like we had before. And the description, we're going to say we are updating the project, right? And so let's take a look at that project in Jira. That's what it looks like. There's the project, the leave of absence project. We can go back to it and see all the information about that project. Let's go to project settings. There we go. There's the description, there's the name, there's the key. So you see it all there. So this should change if we're successful in testing that step. So let's go ahead and hit that run test button. And if we've structured everything correctly, it should go ahead and update the project. We'll find out here in a second. It is all done. So let's go ahead and I will click back on here. And there it is. And let's just go to a different page and come back to the project details and see if anything changed. Okay, it doesn't look like it worked. Let's go back to here and check on that and see if we got an error message. We did. So not equals 0 is not a valid conditional expression. Where was that expression? There's the get connection info. That all worked. Here is the rest step mandatory. There's my body. Method failed with code 405. Response headers, that's pretty useless. So this isn't working. Okay, so I see where I made the error. You probably saw me doing this on the screen. Notice there's no quotes. I think this is the problem. There's no quotes around my stuff. And yeah, and it actually has the name wrong too, so I'm glad that didn't work. All right, let's go fix that real quick. Let's close that, cancel that, and let's get back into this rest step. Scroll down here and let's start adding some quotes around this one. I'm hoping that's what it was, because definitely needed quotes around there because I took them out. So this is the description. Oh, I did actually add the wrong thing. It said, look, I have description for the name. That is incorrect. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. This is great. You're seeing an example of how it is to actually work in ServiceNow. I am not a genius. I don't know everything, but I know how to fix what I did wrong. There's my project name in quotes. That's good, and we'll change this lead account ID to that and have quotes around that. Okay, good stuff there. That's all done. Let's save that and we'll test again and see if that updates our project correctly this time, now that my request body, my request content is formatted correctly. So, oh goody, I get to paste all this stuff again. And we'll put in that lead account ID. We'll just put test there, PRJ00, and let's go back to this one. Let's select all that name. So it's 00100018 is our project name, or project key, 0010018. 0010018, and our name, and we'll just modify that, modified, and then the description, we're going to put, we are doing an update, exclamation point, run test. Alright, so I'm crossing my fingers and crossing my toes, and this is going to work. Let's just hedge our bets here and see if this looks any different. I'm going to move away from that and come back and see if that changed. And it didn't, so I probably got another error message, which is okay. Let's take a look at what the error was this time. Not equals 0 is not a valid conditional expression. Happened again. Where is this error message? Go to error. Okay, so it's right there. I'm not seeing it. Error code 1. Method failed with code 405. Let's just Jira code 405. So it's not liking the particular method. I remember I did a put, not a post. So let's go to the Jira API, see if we can find some documentation on this REST endpoint for projects. Jira API, paste that in. Yeah. Use it to get an update, and so post would be get all projects, Create a project is the post. That's one we saw earlier. I don't want to do that. Get recent projects, get projects paginated, get project, update project is a put. So I was correct, it is a put. Why doesn't it like that? We required administrator permission, which we have, and it needs the project ID or a key as a string. Path or parameters, project ID or key. So is that what it was over here? Let's go back and am I reading that right? So in their example, so I need to put that in my URL. Is that what you guys are seeing? Let's try that. Interesting. Slash project, and so I'm going to put in the key right there in the URL, in the resource path. That's in the resource path. That's what I'm reading. So put REST API to project and then the key, and then in the body I'm going to have the key again. It looks like, but that's okay. All right, let's try that out. Let's hit the save button and we'll test it again. That one I've never done before. I've never seen the key like that in the URL, but let's test it. Oh goody, good thing I copied this. There, and name, we're just going to call this new project name. We're going to keep it simple, and lead account ID is actually this thing right there. This is going to keep this test, and let's put the actual PRJ00100018 was that, and updating a project, and we'll run the test. We'll go back to Jira, and let's just move off of this and move back. I'm waiting for that like grand moment where it actually worked. Yes, it actually worked. I got my grand moment. So there's the new project name. There's the new description on that. So it actually worked exactly what we wanted. So I just learned something there, and that the URL we had to change in order to get that to work. Everything's good. Let's just click on this for giggles. I still have an error on it, but it actually worked. So I'm not sure why I'm getting an error. Action status. Oh, this is probably in the action configuration. Okay, I'll show you where that is in a second. We'll get rid of that error. So everything was good there, and I got a successful response from that. So everything came through good, and we saw that it actually updated. So let's close out that, and let's get rid of that error message. Let me show you. It's probably here in the outputs or in the error evaluation. Yeah, so action status code. Remember, I deleted all the error handling, so I just need to delete all this error handling from this section as well, since we're not going to do any of that in this step, and then we should be good. Let's just be thorough, test this one more time. And here's my key over there, copy, put that here. We'll call this it worked, project name, or the key, sorry, its key has to be PRJ00100018, and the name, and this is the second success with hopefully no errors. And that's the project lead's name. We want to change that to Bernie. I don't know who Bernie is, but let's just do that. We'll run the test. All right, it's finished. So let's head back over to Jira and go back here, go back to the details, and it worked. Project name. This is the second success. Okay, everything's looking good there. Even has the project lead as me, even though I had a different name in there because it's using the ID. Let's go and see if we still have an error message, and we don't. No error message, so we're error free. So guess what we're gonna do, everybody? We are gonna take this and we're gonna publish it, and please correct the following errors. Great. Action output ID, empty output value cannot be blank on publish. So I thought there was no action outputs. Let me edit the outputs. There it is. Project. I don't need to. Do I want? No, I don't need that. I'm just going to update it, and so let's just delete that. There we go. I don't need to send the project back because we already know about the project in as the project record, because this is an update step. In the create step, it's important to get the object back because we don't want to do things with it like add it as part of the project record, but we don't need that here. So let's go ahead and publish now. And now that that's published, we can use that in our flow. Now this would be a good test for Vancouver. Do I have to reload this flow in order to use that new action? We will find out. So let's go ahead and replace this placeholder activity with my new I think it was in Justin's house. That's right. I put it in that application. So Justin's house, we should have our new update project, which we do. I didn't have to refresh the browser. That's great. There's my update project. My key is actually going to be in that project record. So let's go to the trigger, and I have the key in the correlation ID. Actually, I have the key as the project number, so I just use that. Project number right there. The name is still going to be the name. So we'll choose the project name. Everything else should be pretty like the last video. I think it's project name, not name. I always scroll past everything I need. The lead account ID. Oh, this is interesting. So that's going to be that step below where I had to look up the users and all that mess. So I don't want to do this anymore. I actually want to fix the way I do this. I'm going to make another video where we fix the user situation here because I didn't like how that turned out. So for now, I'm going to cheat in this video so that we don't have to make this any longer than it is. We'll just paste in my ID there. We'll come back and fix that later. The name, we'll just use my actual name. Let's see, project manager, and then we'll go to my name. There it is. And the description is going to be the project description. So everything's good there. That should be in the D's. Description, and we'll hit done. We'll hit save. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that project, the leave of absence project, and we're going to change the name in ServiceNow and see that all that goes through to Jira. So let's go to our project table, pm_project.list. That's my shortcut from not having to go through all the menu items to find that. There we go. Leave of absence should be right there. Let's go ahead and open that project up, and we're going to change that name. We're going to change that description, and then we're going to go test our flow because our flow isn't activated yet. Our action's activated and published, but our flow is not. So we'll call this leave of absence, no work authorization. Let's just call this leave of absence demo for YouTube, just like that. And we'll change the description to testing out the updated project action for Jira. All right, so it should look very different from what we tested with, and we'll know if that actually works. Let's hit the save button there, and we're gonna go test our flow, and that'll wrap this video as long as there's no errors. We'll search for leave of absence, demo for YouTube, there it is. And because in our flow, we're actually checking to see if there's already a Jira project created, it'll hit this first step and never execute that create step down here below. If there was no Jira record associated with the project, it would do the create like we saw in the previous video. So it's running its flow. It's all finished. Let's hop over to Jira, and we'll just do the same thing. We'll move to summary, move back to details, and see if our project information updated. And look at that. There it updated. Leave of absence demo for YouTube down below in the description, testing out the updated project action for Jira. Everything updated like we expected, using our new action and using that flow. So everything is good there. What I want you to stay tuned for in the next video is we're going to clean up this flow and the user situation here, and then I'll have a solid project to project flow. So there'll be a part 3 where I set up the users. But in the meantime, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, please subscribe, or share it with somebody who you think might be interested in not just creating projects in Jira, but keeping them in sync and updating them in Jira when things get updated in ServiceNow. And until next time, don't forget to always be learning.